Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. It is that time of year again, championship predictions. Last year, the video did so well. It's one of my most viewed videos. Now, I hope my predictions are going to be closer to what they were last year, because my God, I had some howlers, but I also had some good ones as well. I knew Coventry wouldn't do as well as what people thought they would do, and I was right. However, I did have some horrible stinkers as well, but does not matter. That was last season. This is this season. Let's get straight into it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Who's looking forward to the championship season, and how well do you think your championship season for your team is going to be? Let me know down in the comments. Also, first vlog will be up on the channel on the 10th of August for Middlesbrough versus Swansea, so that is something to look forward to. I've never done that kind of thing before, so feedback would be much appreciated. However, to see a different team up from League One to the Championship, but I just don't think they'll have enough. They have just signed Matt Phillips as of recording. However, I still don't think that'll be enough. But I do think they'll do decent this season for what people are expecting. But I do think they'll finish rock bottom. 23rd, I've went for Plymouth Argyle. Um, 2 words, Wayne Rooney. I don't think we need to go much into that, especially if they lose Whitaker or Barley and Bumba. I just think they're going to struggle. 22nd and the last place to get relegated is Blackburn. Blackburn fans are going to be having me in the comments here because they've signed like 5 players in like 2 days. That does not mean you're going to stay up. I still think if you lose Sammy Smodics, who scored, let's be honest, half your goals last season, that is not easy to replace at all. So I do think you'll struggle. But it'll be interesting to see if you do stay up with them new signings. One of them, I think, was Carl McFadden, who just signed up. But if you look at Blackburn's defence, it is a very old 2 centre back partnership. So they're not gonna they'll have the experience, but to play 46 games out of 46, that's gonna kill them. But I don't know much about Blackburn, so Blackburn fans, let me know what you think of your signings. Just finishing outside of the relegation zone, I've got Portsmouth. I think they'll have a very good season. Nice to see them back in the Championship after an 11-year absence, I think. But yeah, it's nice to see a new team in the Championship again. And yeah, I think they've had some good signings. One I can think on the top of my head is Sammy Silvera on loan from Middlesbrough. Very good player on his day. Probably just needs a bit more game time under his belt, like a good spell in the team without getting chopped and changed for subs and stuff, like he was at Middlesbrough. But I do think they'll have a good season. 20th, I've went for Derby County. I think they know the Championship really well. And I think, let's be honest, they'll get the job done. There won't be anything flashy, I can't imagine. They'll not be an Ipswich like last season. But I think they'll get the job done, and I think they'll just stay up, just about, anyways. But a solid season back in the Championship after a couple of years absence. Now, 19th, this might shock you, but I've went for Watford. I think we're losing a Sprayer and Ismail Kone and a few others. I think it's just really going to hinder them this season. Their squad is very slim and they're in a transfer embargo. They've got to be careful of what they spend and what they don't spend. So I do think they'll struggle this season. And it's sad to see because 2 years ago they were getting ready for a Premier League season and now Sorry, 3 years ago they were getting ready for a Premier League season, but now they're in their third season in the Championship. But it is what it is when you've got owners that doesn't really like putting loads of money into, and he prefers the other club in Italy. But anyways, we sidetrack. 18th place, I think, will be Swansea City. I haven't really seen much of their recruitment. I did see they signed a Slovenian striker the other day. However, I just think it's the same with Swansea and Stoke, who we might as well put in there now. They always finish about there. I know Swansea finished a bit higher up, but since Stoke have been relegated, they have not even finished in the top half once, and that has been what 7 years now. So I just can't see a change. They just splash the cash on potential maybes. And yeah, it's good to do that, but when you're a team that's just mid-table, it's not what you want to do, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm not going to talk much about these clubs because they're just kind of meh teams, you know. If that, no offense, but they're just not going to get far. Next, I think it'll be QPR. I think they'll have a decent season under Suev. Honestly, today I cannot speak Fuentes. I think they'll have a good, but I think losing Chris Willock and possibly losing Chair because he's going to prison, I think will have a real impact on QPR, and I do think they'll struggle. Last but not least for this section, 15th, Bristol City. They've just signed Sinclair Armstrong from QPR. Looks like Tommy Conway's off to Middlesbrough or potentially Burnley. See where that one lies. But I think they'll have a decent season. But like QPR and Stoke, they kind of just hover. They don't really go up. They don't really go down. They just have either a really good start or a really good finish. And they're just kind of in the middle throughout the season. Now, 14th might shock you, but it does not shock me if you look at their business. And before Hull fans come at me saying, well, we're spending money now, losing Greaves, losing Philogene, losing Carvalho, losing Zaruri, losing Seri, that is huge. And that is going to take some time to rebuild. And it'll be like Middlesbrough the season when they didn't get promoted with Akpom, Archer, Ramsey, Stefan, Giles, all them kind of players when they left. It was a massive rebuild last season, and you could see the struggle, but towards the end, they got better. So I think Hull will still have a decent season finishing 14th. I just don't think they'll be up there like some fans think. But not to be disheartened by Hull. I'm sure they'll be back up, but sacking Liam Rosenior was a very weird choice, in my opinion. 13th, I've went Sunderland. I think without a recognised number 9, it's going to be really hard. And also looks like they're going to lose Jack Clark to either Leeds or Ipswich. So unless they're going to spend that money, it's going to be really hard to get any higher with the quality in the Championship this season, with other teams spending way more money than Sunderland. Sunderland fans, would you be happy with 13th? Would you? Because, last season I think you finished 16th. Would you be happy with that? Let me know in the comments. 12th, I've went for Millwall. I think they'll have a very good season, but I don't think they'll I don't think they'll have playoff promotion season kind of thing. I don't think they'll be pushing for the playoffs. However, I do think they'll just solidify in mid-table, having a decent season. And I would also like to give my condolences to Matty Sarkic. I know it's been a month or two, but that doesn't matter. It's so sad to see, and it's very respectful for Millwall to retire the shirt number. Next, I'm going to go West Brom. I think West Brom have lost some very, very key players, such as Matt Phillips, such as Yukushlu, Thomas Asante. These are really big players that West Brom have relied on for years and years, and losing them, people might think, it's not going to be huge, but and Connor Townsend as well, losing the likes of Yukushlu is huge because he played every game for West Brom last season. So losing the likes of him is detrimental to West Brom. And even though Carlos Corberán's a very good manager, I can see West Brom struggling this season. Now, as you can see, some are already filled here. I'm not going to go and talk about them for too long. I just think they'll just finish outside the playoffs. Preston, Sheffield Wednesday, Cardiff and Norwich, I think, will just miss out. I think out of all them 4 teams, I think Cardiff and Sheffield Wednesday have done the best business. Cardiff especially signing the likes of Willock, Callum Chambers, and they signed... who did they sign? El Ghazi the other day on a free transfer. That's a very good sign. And Sheffield Wednesday, good manager in Danny Rowe. I think they'll have a good season. Don't see them getting playoffs, but I think they'll have a good season. Same with Preston. They've signed the likes of Sam Greenwood, who was good on loan last season at Middlesbrough. But I think they'll just stay mid-table, and I think Norwich will literally just miss out, unfortunately. But I do think they'll have a very good season. How many times am I going to say that? I think they'll have a good season. Anyways, I'm sure someone's already commented that before I've said that. Sixth place and getting the first playoff place, I think it'll be Sheffield United. I think they'll have an okay season. I don't think Chris Wilder's going to work magic, and I can't see them getting back promotions. Not back to back, I mean, I just mean back promotion from being relegated. Their team, a lot of players, a lot of senior players have left the club, but who knows? You never know with the championship. Anything can happen. Oxford United could win it, and people might laugh now, but look at Ipswich. They came so close to winning the championship last season somehow. Fifth place. Well, no, not 15th. Fifth place, I've went for Coventry. Very solid squad. I like Mark Robbins as a manager, even though we always lose like 15 million nil against them, and it's our bogey team these days. However, I do like what they're building. They've got a very, very good base of a squad and good backup as well. And I think they'll have a very good season, and it would not surprise me if they get promoted at all. Fourth place, I'm going for Burnley. I strongly believe that Burnley will struggle, unlike last time they were in the Championship. I did say this last time, though, when they were in the Championship, that they would struggle. But I think Scott Parker, yeah, he's a decent manager. He's been there, he's done it. I just think there's a lot of young players there and not a lot of senior players. And I think it's just going to be very hard to control them all. And he's going to have to find who's going to leave and who's going to stay, because he can't have that big size of a squad in the Championship. It's too much, too many players, and there's not going to be none of the players can be happy, because they're going to be very limited to playing time. So it'll be interesting to see what Scott Parker does do at Burnley, but I think Burnley will finish in fourth place. Now third, I think it'll be Leeds. In all honesty, Leeds United. I would have put them second or first, but losing Somerville, looks like they're going to lose Nonto. They have lost Archie Gray as well. That is huge. Somerville was their key player last year. He ripped it apart in so many games. Can they replace him? There's talks about signing Ryan Kent. For me, that's just not a like-for-like replacement. Ryan Kent's a good player, but is he Somerville's ability? No. So I do think Leeds will just finish outside of the playoffs, just like last season. And I do think out of these four teams, I think Coventry will win the playoffs. People might look at that and think they're the weaker of the four, but I think they're probably the strongest of the four. Mark Robbins knows what the Championship's about, and he's got such a strong squad, and he's got them playing beautiful football. So I do think Coventry will get promoted next season. Second place, people are going to have a go at me for bias, but I do think we will have a good season. I've never really put us in first or second before. I think last season I put us in fourth. Obviously, we finished eighth. But I think the base of the squad we've got is very promising, as long as we don't get hounded by injuries like we did last season. You don't really take into consideration of pre-season, because that's just about getting the minutes in. Obviously, we've only really lost the likes of Paddy McNair on a free. He's went to San Diego and on loan at West Brom. It looks like Tommy Conway might go this way, and it looks like we might sign a few other players as well, just to bolster the squad. But I think this would have to be the season Middlesbrough get promoted, because after this season, Latte Lath will go, Hayden Hackney will go, and Rav Vandenberg will go. Three of Middlesbrough's biggest assets, arguably. So I do think this is Middlesbrough's season to kick on, and if it doesn't, I can see them losing a lot of talent next summer. And to finish top, I mean, who would have thought this a few years ago? But I've got Luton Town to win the Championship next season. Last season, what they did was they bought players that they knew were going to be very good Championship players and mediocre Premier League players. And that's exactly what they've done. Now they're going in the Championship, and they know that they can just, well, arguably walk it, really, because their team is just built for the Championship, and they've got good depth. The only players they've really lost is Ross Barkley and Osho. So I do think Luton Town will come out winners. But to be honest, any of that top 7 probably could finish in the top 2. That's how crazy the championship is. I do think this season's going to be crazy. Let me know in the comments what you think of my predictions. Don't be too horrible. Let's be nice. But yeah, that has been my championship predictions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments how you think your team's gonna do. And I'll see you for Premier League predictions next week.